if you like, it's a corruption of an observation, which is, in America, both of the parties are actually very similar. And the reason they're very similar is because to actually win the majority in America, you need to sort of fit into a certain mold. So there's actually relatively minor differences between these two parties in America, right? And yeah, so to an extent, it doesn't make that much of a difference unless you're talking about Bush, which one gets into power.
Oh, well, I was talking to
absolutely.
There's a character which you may have come across on YouTube called The Answers of NWO, who has set up a BlogTV account. He may be somewhere in the room at the moment. I don't think he is, because I think I operated him, but he's the character that did the hosepipe in the back garden to prove Dr. Answers, on blog. But he's The Answers of NWO on YouTube, and he's the person with the hosepipe in the back garden proving that the Grand Canyon couldn't have been formed.
Craziness could happen.
This sort of stuff.
Hosepipe,
Yeah.
I have an experiment set up, and you just know you're hearing a complete idiot talk, right?
Yeah.
But he is an absolute classic example, and this is why I draw an analogy between them. He is a creationist. He believes that Roswell was a conspiracy and they're hiding something. He believes that JFK was a CIA job. He believes that the moon landings were fake. He believes that 9/11 was an inside job. And there's one I've missed out. I can't remember.
And anyone who actually believes all this mainstream stuff is...
Oh, the door.
Yeah, they've been...
Yeah, he's also big into the New World Order. That's the final one. So that's why I draw an analogy between religion and these conspiracy theories. There is something...
Roswell was actually a sort of conspiracy of sorts, in that what they were actually doing is that you didn't have to be Einstein to work out the remnants that they found weren't weather balloons, yeah, but they were. There were real devices on there, and what it was is there were these things called sound channels where sound basically reflects up and down. You get them in the sea, and you get them in the upper atmosphere. And what they were actually doing is they had microphones on these weather balloons that were actually listening for nuclear tests in Russia, right? Because you get into these sound channels, and the sound basically, if it goes up, it's refracted downwards due to temperature, and if it comes down, it's refracted up due to density, such that, the sound in these channels can travel for tens of thousands of miles, especially...
But do they have any idea in Russia where they might be setting up? Because they should have some idea of where they were.
It was at the time a sort of proof of concept type thing that could you do it at all?
Near the nuclear explosion at all.
Yeah, and so presumably after that you just need 2 or 3 of these balloons in the sound channels, and from the sort of triangulation you can work it all out. However, it turns out that seismology overtook the whole thing. But
seismology is a better way to
and if you like, the reason that no one was particularly keen to talk about this at the time is because they didn't want the Russians to know they had a way of detecting the blast guns.
But also, could it have been a good thing? Maybe the Americans...
Sorry, you broke up. I don't know whether you broke up. Sorry to interrupt. I don't know whether you broke up just for me or whether you did for other people. But you said. Yeah. You just finished off by saying the reason that they didn't want to talk about it was what?
Because they didn't want the Russians to know that they had a way of detecting that they were setting, of where they were setting off their nukes, or how many.
Right. Okay. Sorry, it's just you broke up. That's all, and I didn't know whether it was just for me or others.
And there's an interesting corollary to the story, which is that when the flyers in the Pacific, the American flyers on the aircraft carriers, they were given...
Fighter pilots?
Yeah. Because it was fairly frequent that, these guys would have to ditch in the sea due to an engine failure or getting shot down or something. They were given, I think it was 3 hollow metal spheres, right? And they were told, they weren't given any of the details, they were told that, you know, after they're ditched into the ocean, they had to throw one of these spheres overboard and wait for half an hour, and then throw the next one over, and then throw the next one over.
Right.
Well, exactly. And what's more, they weren't actually given a reason in case they were actually captured of why they should do this. Right. So if the Japanese captured them, all they would find is these 3 metal spheres or something. And yeah, how on earth is this meant to help the Americans find them? And what it is there are these sound, very close. There are these sound channels deep in the oceans. The whales actually swim down to them, and they sing in the sound channels. Mm-hmm. And so what these spheres were designed to do is they were designed to burst once they get down to a certain depth. Right? And the Americans had a load of sonar stations.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. So basically, all they had was these... Yeah, if the Japanese got one of these spheres, all they had was a metal ball.
Would they be able to open it somehow?
It wouldn't matter. I mean, all it was designed to do was rupture. Yeah, it was designed to rupture at a certain pressure. And from that sound, that would travel for hundreds of miles in the sound channel.
You actually be able to find where the downship was? It's a pity that the guy would have died from hypothermia ages before they'd be able to get him out.
Apparently not. They... it's warm water.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Okay.
The Indianapolis.
I guess that would have been completely useless in the North Sea, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah. But the Indianapolis, that's the ship that had Jaws, the ship that took Nuke to Tinian. On the way back, it got torpedoed, and, 1,000 went into the water, and sharks killed a lot of them. It's actually a genuine story from Jaws.
What people do? Some people... Oh, yes, I heard that. 1,000 people went into the ocean. There was...
Yeah, a lot of them didn't make it out, and it wasn't the cold that got them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so interesting stories from World War II. And people.
Yeah, but in relation to the moon landings, obviously there are a whole host of reasons that are put forward by the conspiracy theorists. Which, if any, do you actually think is the most persuasive? And I'm not saying it's convincible, but
these things don't even withstand minor scrutiny. These things are even worse than Hove indictments. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean that's my view. I just wondered whether.
Yeah, but there's a significant portion of people who buy into that shit, and.
I think some of them just do it to be different, quite honestly.
Somebody just said the landing site had been photographed. Sorry, somebody's just said that the landing site has actually been photographed. I was unaware of that. Is that the case?
The only way that you have nowhere near the resolution on Earth-based telescopes to, I think the best resolution you get on the moon is 50 meters.
Andromeda's wait, what is LRO?
LRO. It may well be that you've got a satellite that will take those sorts of pictures.
Yeah,
there was certainly, there's...
Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah,
okay.
You get it into orbit, and of course, then lunar orbit is very low.
It's much more comfortable now.
In fact, it's 60 kilometers lunar orbit, something like that.
Are you being pampered there, Thunder? Are you being brought cushions and pillows?
And well, I'm not the only one. The cat's getting the same treatment. The cat is phenomenal, by the way. This is
Pepper. He's lovely when he's sleepy.
And yeah, he likes to flex his claws on you as well. He likes to let you know who boss is.
Well, for a man who wishes to face death as often as you do, I don't think that a cat's claw is really going to bother you that much. How badly did you whack your head on that cave tunnel ceiling or roof?
That's painful.
Yeah, well, 2 days later I hadn't actually noticed, but, there's a big, massive
bump.
Yeah, on
top
of my head.
Tender, isn't it?
It's actually not too bad at the moment, but, yeah, I pulled out a fairly big sort of semi-crystalline lump of that sort of stuff that oozes out of badly bruised skin, so...
You mean
plus
scab?
It was a fairly significant lump to the point where
You arrive at a guest's house and you sit down and you pull out scab and pus from your head. I hope you put it in a tissue paper and not rub it into the sofa.